welcome to Trojan Sports Now. I'm Sarah Drake.
And I'm Justin Walker. Stay tuned as we bring you the latest news and scores from Trojan Athletics.
The Trojan football team traveled to Las Cruces, New Mexico on Saturday to face off against the Aggies of New Mexico State. This was the first Sun Belt Conference game of the season for both teams. The Trojan football team is now 1-0 in Sun Belt Conference play after beating New Mexico State 27-24. This was the team's second cross-country trip of the season, and head coach Neil Brown credits the Aggies for a tough game.
New Mexico State is much improved. A lot of credit to Coach Martin and his staff. I thought it was an extremely physical game. It was competitive all the way to the end, and credit their players. You know, they played really, really well. I'm really proud of our guys for handling that trip and coming out and with the win.
Brown also talked about some negatives from the special teams unit that he saw this weekend.
The negatives, obviously, we missed a PAT and a field goal, and that can't happen. And what it did, it caused us to have to go for some fourth downs later in the second quarter that we probably would have kicked under normal conditions.
Brown said that the defense is better than it's been, but can still use some improvement.
Best we've covered in 3 years as far as against a quality passing team. I thought we did a nice job matching routes, and we can do a better job making some plays on the ball, but best we've covered.
And the Trojan offense had a strong performance against the Aggies, and Brown talks about the success they had on Saturday.
We had 0 turnovers. Third downs, we were really efficient. Started both halves fast, scored touchdowns on both our opening drives of each half, and almost 5 yards of carry, and probably the biggest a positive thing we did offensively is we finished that game. You know, 6+ minutes we took it off the clock to take a knee and finish that game, and that was big.
And during the second half, the Aggies were able to make a comeback, but failed to match the intensity of the Trojans, which allowed the team to pick up the 27-24 victory. The victory also led to some recognition for Troy's QB1.
For his performance in Saturday's game against New Mexico State, Brandon Silvers was named the Sun Belt Offensive Player of the Week. Silvers says he was surprised to learn he had picked up the honor.
I know, it's awesome. You know, I didn't know until I went and talked to Coach Reagan this morning. I had no clue, and I saw it on Twitter. But just preparing. I give it all to prepare, practice hard. Good things will happen to you, and I think I've done that the past 2 weeks.
In the game, Silvers went 25-40, throwing for over 286 yards and a touchdown. He was the dominant factor behind the offense's 469 total yards, and head coach Neil Brown says that Silvers has become a different player than what we saw in Week 1.
I thought he made good decisions. Pre-snap wise, thought he made really good decisions. Thought he managed the game well. And I think that the Week 1 Brandon Silvers against Boise, that I don't think that's who he is. I think that he put a lot of pressure on himself for whatever reason, and he didn't perform very well. I think he's gone back to the drawing board and really been more fundamentally sound. I think he's been more locked in practice and prepared better. And as long as he continues to do that, I think he'll continue to play at a high level.
And probably the biggest play of the game was his 32-yard run for a touchdown. Silvers gives most of the credit for the run to the guy who is normally running in touchdowns.
Honestly, that play, everybody came down on Chun. So luckily he was in the backfield. They all went down on him, and I just, I've been working on it. I've been working on my speed a little bit, but it ain't the fastest thing. But I got there, and it's just credit to Chun being back there with me because they all went down on him.
Going into Friday night's conference opener against the ULM Warhawks, the Trojan women's soccer team was in search of their first win at home. Brianna Jones shows us how they finally got what they were looking for.
The women's soccer team laced up for pediatric cancer Friday when they took on the ULM Warhawks for their first conference matchup of the season. The Trojans got off on a good start in the first half, scoring 2 goals coming from juniors Lauren Aldridge and Mecca Cobbin. Head coach Jed O'Connor was impressed with how the girls have improved because of practice.
No, the girls did really well. They executed the game plan, which is something we really worked on. Plenty of video, plenty of reps in training. We're very, very happy with the first half, but then disappointed. I think the air came out of our tyres a little bit in the second half, which is something we need to focus on for Sunday. And Lauren's footwork was excellent, and she climbed over the back. Fantastic goal. We first thought it was over, but she took enough off it for it to dip in. And then Mecca's second goal was exactly the same thing that we've seen on video and that we showed the team at least 4 times now. The keeper cheats a little bit to the near post. We got right into the far post, and again, it's just a pass, so I'm happy to see that the girls were listening.
Cobbin was excited about how the team not only got their first home win, but set the tone for the rest of their conference matchups.
We just wanted to make a name for ourselves in the conference, and I think this first home win, we're now settled down and we feel more comfortable as a team, and now we're ready to see our opponent on Sunday. We didn't sub as much this time, so we understood what each player was going to do, and we flowed just a lot better.
Although the Trojans did not score again in the second half, they held off the Warhawks by ending the match with 2-0. Brianna Jones, Trojan Sports Now.
However, on Sunday, the team dropped their match against Arkansas State 4-1. The Trojans fell behind 2-0 in the first half and produced just 3 shots, but came just inches from leveling the game late. Kate Loren scored off a cross from Julia Winter in the 71st minute to pump life back into the team, and with just over 10 minutes remaining, Winter looked to have tied the game, but her goal was waved off by an offside call. The Red Wolves tackled on a pair of goals in the final 5 minutes as the Trojans pushed players forward, looking for the equalizer.
And the volleyball team traveled to Tuscaloosa to take part in the Crimson and White tournament hosted by Alabama. In their first match, the Trojans lost 3-0 to the Murray State Racers. The Racers won the first pair of sets 25-18. In the third set, a late 6-point run ended in the Racers' favor as they narrowly won set 3, 25-23 to take the match. And in their second game of the tournament, the Trojans were looking for redemption. Troy came back strong to earn the 3-0 sweep over the Southern Jaguars. While the team only posted a .067 average in the final set, its 16 kills was enough to keep the Jaguars at bay to improve to 5-8 on the season. And after splitting their first 2 matches, the Trojans lost to the Alabama Crimson Tide 3-0. Sophomore Belle Waldrop led the squad with 10 kills and 1 solo block for a team-high 11 points. And freshman Cheyenne Hayes also had a solid outing, adding 7 kills and 1 assisted block on the day.
In their second meet of the season, the Troy men's cross-country team took home another top 2 finish as the solid start to the season continued in Boone, North Carolina at the Mountain to Sea Cross Country Invitational. The men finished with an average time of 26 minutes 14 seconds in the 8K event to take second place behind only UNC Chapel Hill. The women's team finished in 6th place with an average time of 19 minutes 18 seconds in the 5K event. Up next, the men's team will have next weekend off while the women's team will travel to Gainesville, Florida to take part in the Mountain Dew Classic.
Troy women's golf team finished 5th in their season opening tournament at the USA Intercollegiate at Magnolia Grove Crossings Golf Course on Monday. Bianca Lobauer led the team, firing a 2-under 70. Lobauer, who shot 1 over for the tournament, rebounded from a bogey on her first hole to make the turn at 2 under after birdies on a pair of par 5 holes and 1 on the par 3 7th. Another birdie on the par 5 13th pushed her card to 3 under before bogey on number 17 dropped her to 2 over. The opener also brought the debut of new head coach Randy Keck. Coach Keck was impressed with the play of his girls overall, however, he still sees some room for improvement.
Yeah, it was a great week of competition. Jumped right into the new job and got to go on a trip and found out a lot about our team right away. I like that. We've got a lot of work to do, but it was a good week of competition. They played well, and I was proud of them.
Still to come on Trojan Sports Now, we'll have a preview of the Trojan football team's matchup against Akron.
But first, Sarah Drake sits down with men's golfer, junior Callum Masters. Stick around for more Trojan Sports Now.